are live.
Welcome to the Teachers Pep Rally. If you missed our last episode with the TPR crew about checking in with your colleagues, friends, or team, please go back and check it out. Our guest today is a female entrepreneur, a travel expert, CEO of MEI Travel, and a princess. She's kind and super fun, and that is why we've asked her to join us today to talk about vacations. So grab your planner and your beach towel. Please welcome to the Teachers Pep Rally, Beci Mahnken.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm so sorry to have screwed it up, but the princess part always throws me for a loop. No matter what I do, there's no way of getting around that one.
So we do have a little royalty in here. And
yes, royalty, our very own. I love it.
Yeah, she is the royal traveler, the royal expert, and so we're all in good hands because the title of this episode is Teachers Need Vacations Too, right?
Yes.
It cracks me up. So I always tell the story of, in fact, it happened today, guys. I made a quick trip during my lunch, real quick to the Family Dollar because, dollar stores is what educators use. That's how you buy your materials. And I ran in there, and sure enough, as I was quickly checking out, even though we both were wearing masks, somehow she recognized me and she's like, "Do you teach at such and such school?" I was like, "I thought I recognized you." So can you imagine seeing us on vacation if they can't imagine us in stores?
It'll blow their minds. They probably would they would probably grab us and hide us somewhere.
Yeah, I think they think we just live in the schools.
Yes.
But Beci, we don't, right?
All right. I got to admit, when I was a kid and I saw my teachers that were outside the classroom, it did freak me out totally because it's like, wait a minute, you have a life? What? But why aren't you're going to yell at me in a minute. I just know it and turn and run the other way. So yeah, I think you guys don't get the credit that you deserve for what you do for people around you. And the least you can do is find a little bit of time for yourself to get away. And for some people, that getaway is to sit on a beach for a week and not talk to another soul. Others is to get on a cruise ship and not talk to another soul. Some are to go to Disney World and talk to every single person in every line you're going to be in for 7 straight days.
I'm so surprised, Fred. You talk to everyone?
Pretty much.
I love it.
Well, now you're 6 feet apart in all the queues, so it's a little bit more difficult, but I'm sure that people are accomplishing it.
And so, Beci, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, that we deserve vacation too. I certainly hope that throughout or at some point during our show tonight, we just talk about some best practices in terms of saving, when to start. Because I know, for me personally, during my teaching career, I was a single mom. And so trying to scrape up money to travel the way my heart's desired, with a child and a teacher's salary was a little challenging. So I certainly would hope that you would share some of that and maybe we could kick it off with some of that.
Sure. When you get into travel, there are all kinds of levels of travel. And some people, for them, as it was for my father way back when, which got me to this love of travel that I have so much, was to take the family, throw them in the back of the station wagon. And what my dad did was take a state every summer, and we would drive the state and we would go and visit all the historical locations in the state. I know more about Washington, Oregon, California, the little pieces where I'm like, yeah, the Whitman mission in Washington. And my friends look at me like, what? what is that?
That's awesome.
And they live like 40 miles away and they never knew the history of it. But my father made sure I had that. He's the one that also gave me the Disney love. So I blame him for many of my problems right now. But first, there's so many flavors of travel between that and the family vacation, or some people will save for 5 years to go on that dream bucket list vacation, which might mean going to Europe for 14 days or staying in a suite on a cruise that'll take you around the Caribbean. There's all kinds of different options for people. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like if you're talking about going to a theme park or going to a cruise, you just have to have a little bit of knowledge beforehand on how to get the best deals and how to get the best rates. And a couple of things I can tell you right away is you might have heard people say, oh, just wait till the last minute because cruise lines don't fill up or hotels don't fill up. And you can get this great last minute deal because they're not filling the space. That really hasn't been the case for a long time. Your biggest key is to book as early as you possibly can, especially if you're talking cruises, because as they fill, like if you're looking at a Disney cruise, which a lot of families and teachers do focus on, the moment that they release, the prices start to increase as the ship fills. So you want to get it on day one or as close as possible. The next thing is to book with a vacation planner that can help you find the deals and the codes and the offers that you might not know about. And if you book early, you find a vacation planner that doesn't charge fees, but will tell you that proactively, if the rates go down, if they find an offer, they proactively apply that offer. So you're price protected and you've got the best availability. So for example, I have people right now that are booking into 2022 for Disneyland or Disney World. And there's going to be an offer somewhere down the line. It's going to be like a 30% off or 25% off. It'll come down the pike. As soon as it does, I pull all those dates for those clients, apply that code and send them an email right away that says, hey, guess what? I just saved you $800 on your vacation. What would you like to do with that?
Oh.
So
Oh, wow.
and a lot of people also think that cheap is the cheapest is the best, which in fact is not the case. It might look like a great rate if you're seeing something advertised, but they may not be including a lot of the taxes and fees and charges until you're actually ready to book it. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a $30 per day charge to stay at that hotel. There's a marketing trick called the lead-in price, which is basically designed to get you to go, oh, that's a really low price. I need to book it. And then you find out on the other side that there's a lot more charges that await you on the other side of the hill. So I think to help you find the best available price is to find a vacation planner that charges no fees. There's a lot out there that don't. There's a lot that do, but there's a lot that don't. Find one that you really, really like working with. And by the way, when you select one, it's just like selecting a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. Make sure you get a recommendation from your friends. Interview that person and make sure that they are really looking out for you and being an advocate for you. You find the right fit, you're going to have someone that's constantly on the prowl for lower and lower prices for what you're looking for.
Where have you been my life, my whole life?
Well, for the last year, I've been sitting right here in this chair because the pandemic won't let me go anywhere.
Well, I think you and I need a conversation offline.
Yeah, you know, we it's funny because like seeing you and having met you before and you're a great woman. You really are. And it's fun. And my heart really went out to you when, you know, like when this whole thing went down and knowing your industry, I was like, wow. I mean, we're all feeling it. And we're all feeling it, you know, and then like you look at a specific industry that's predicated on people getting together, and all of a sudden we can't. And I'm like, wow, what do you do? You know, and so would you kind of give us a little bit of a glimpse of that? What was that bow wave looking like?
Sheer panic. It's probably a good way to put it because it was funny. I had left a very large media event in Walt Disney World, and when I heard that it hit our shores. I'm in the Seattle area. So when we heard about COVID, it was literally 20 minutes from my house where it first started. Oh. And I'm in Florida, and I called my husband and I'm like, should I even come home? I mean, right. I wasn't sure if I should get an apartment in Florida or what. I did come home. As it started spreading a little bit, I came home for 2 days, and I was supposed to be on a plane to go to Disneyland to run a large event there. And I got the call from Disney saying, we're closing tomorrow. So your event is canceled. From that moment, I felt, and I've been through a lot. I've been through 9/11. I owned an agency at that time, I bought an agency right afterwards, but I was in an agency at that time. I've seen H1N1. I've seen all kinds of things impact our business. Nothing like this, where all of a sudden everything is closing, everything is stopping. People have to return from wherever they are. we had thousands and thousands and thousands of clients out there who were either getting ready to travel or on a ship somewhere or in Europe or in Disney World. It was very difficult because our lives turned from booking happy, magical vacations for clients to canceling those vacations and getting refunds and trying to find future cruise credits and on a hold for sometimes 6 to 8 hours to hold for Disney or another supplier to pick up the phone so that we could cancel or move a trip. So our entire industry switched on a dime, and then trying to figure out how to keep a business afloat for a year or more with no income to be ready on the other side. And it wasn't like everything just stopped and we sat back and said, okay, I got 8 hours to figure out what else to do with my life. We were still servicing clients all that time too, because we get paid when people travel. So if their trip was canceled, we're still doing the job of booking them and canceling them, but we're not getting paid for it on the other side. So it was a tough year, and it has been a tough year. It's definitely a masterclass in survival.
Yeah, I would think that we could easily, as professionals, share a lot of similar notes. You said a lot of things that I think is kind of like all of us. We saw certain things emerging, but at the same time, we didn't have our livelihood all planted in something that we also had to control the revenue directly. We're still lucky to have a larger entity helping us, to a certain degree. Wow.
Yeah, from the entrepreneur chair, it's definitely a different view. But clearly, there's nobody on planet Earth that hasn't been impacted in one way or another in a major way from this experience. And I will never forget it, and I hope we never go through it again. But yeah, it's definitely taught me a lot of lessons.
So I'm curious, because you said you love to travel and vacationing, at least for me. So my dad was a pilot. So I grew up literally on a plane and got to fly in a lot of places. I was very, very lucky. So not traveling and not going and discovering new places was really hard for me. So I love to hear Becky. And then I also love to listen to Pete, friend Leticia. What were some things that you did or even maybe still do now to kind of feel like you're on vacation or have a little bit that, release? Because our social and emotional well-being is so important. So Becky, have there been some things that you were able to do, during that time to try to kind of just get that a little bit of a vacation feel?
And still, because I have been sitting in this exact chair, I have not left, for the exception of doctor's visits, hospital stay, and that's it, for 379 days. So I'm ready to get out of this chair. But I think what has helped me through it is my team, because we've had to really work a different way. We had to reinvent what we were doing on a daily basis. But to get some joy out of it, I think, technology. Thank you, technology. If you didn't know what Zoom was before this whole thing, you know what it is now. Luckily, I've been using it for several years beforehand, so I kind of got the thing down. But also, YouTube has been fantastic, because if I feel like I want to go on a cruise and I can't, I will go to YouTube and I will find somebody who had a stationary webcam on their balcony for 6 hours and put that on loop. Or just some of the people who live stream from the parks. Disney World did open up last July. I still haven't been able to be there due to, of course, we're waiting for the vaccines and all of that type of thing. I'm one of those compromised people, so I haven't been able to travel. But I have been able to watch them and see some of my favorite destinations and some of my favorite people through the eyes of live stream. So that's kind of what has helped me through.
Good ideas. How about you, Pete? What have you been able to do?
So my wife's a Japanese American, and boy, every couple months we would love getting from my sons Gigi and Bachan, we would love get these care packages of these great snacks and candies. Nothing's come for so long now. They're older. We're not traveling to there. They're not seeing us. It's been hard. So, we would go to the stores and pick up some of those snacks and things like that. We have a playlist when we miss Disney, when we miss Japan, a playlist that we play in the car. around here in Atlanta. Sometimes we have long commutes, so we pop them in. And then also something to bring back the parks and our love for down there and wherever we go. The candles. The candles have been so great. Our friend Lisa, the Castle Run, Fred, core memory candles. I'm trying to remember the name. We love her candles, and it just brings back memory. Oh, we remember staying at that resort, or we remember staying at that ride. And also, a lot of the YouTubers, a lot of the vloggers online, thank goodness for them. They've been, even old episodes just to rekindle that stuff. That's been in our little back pocket to get us through this as well.
Nice. Those are good ideas too. How about you, Leticia?
So awesome. I'm stuck on the playlist and snacks.
Oh, yeah.
Such a wonderful idea. So, Becky, I was supposed to go to Italy. I know I keep griping about this for my 50th birthday in August. And obviously that wasn't happening. So to your point, YouTube was fabulous. I mean, I've traveled all of Italy from the comfort of my couch, cooking Italian dishes, just, to try to create that experience. So YouTube has been great. We've been doing a lot of getting in the car and just driving. Believe it or not, just getting in our car, putting the dog in the car and just trying to just get out, just to see new things, even if it's, the next county over, just to really get out the house. But to your point, this weekend, for the first time, guys, I traveled.
What?
We went to Asheville, to the mountains. We had a cabin. So it was, I was comfortable and felt safe. And I mean, I cried the whole weekend. There were just these moments where I just cried because I'm like, I'm free. I'm out of the house. So, the cabin was really great. I think I'm going to stay put a little bit, because I can't do too much. But that, we did our first trip and that kind of helps. And just sitting outdoors, to be honest, I remodeled my deck, and so it's filled with plants and comfy furniture and lights, and so I go out there and pretend I'm somewhere else.
Those are more good ideas. And I think this is why we asked Becky to come on now, because I think people are starting to feel like get your feet a little bit wet in the vacationing, and we're getting there. Fred.
Yeah, well, so I had to reach back for a second, and I know that if you're on the podcast you can't see this.
Oh no, show and tell.
Yeah, so this is my travels, right? Mainly from South Carolina to Myrtle Beach area. So these are my kids' scorecards from the mini golf and the ticket and the sand and the shells. And
shells.
Yeah, and I found myself looking at this more than usual. My kids are in college now, but we still are, we vacation together, so it's all good. So that's one thing I was doing. But I had to laugh before, Becky, when you said about the live stream, and Pete, you kind of alluded to it. So I was sitting at the computer yesterday morning, and I'm trying to relax a little bit. I have my wallpaper. I'm in love with my Bing wallpaper. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit it's a Microsoft product, but the imagery that keeps on coming up, I've been sharing now on my Instagram channel. But a live stream popped up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to click this live stream. And I follow a lot of the great live stream stuff with the Magic with Jason Knapp and those great guys and ladies and everybody else down there. But this was a different guy, so I didn't know who it was. So I'm watching and I'm like, oh, this is a nice live stream. And then I glanced at the date. It was like a month ago, but it was but it didn't matter because it had me in the park, and it was, it was in the animal kingdom. It was a brilliant blue electric sky. The crowds were, manageable. Of course they are, but it was just a lot of fun for a little while there, just to get lost in that, and just kind of be there through that, trying to think about what it'll be like to go back here soon. I think that's what's so crazy about everything is like, what is it going to be like when we get back? Like that's really I love that feeling of anticipation. I think that's really what, Becky, that's one of the things I think I wanted to share with you though, was the anticipation effect of vacationing is sometimes even better than the vacation itself, but it's such an important part of it. And I think that's what's building in me, is that anticipation of getting back to Orlando, where I want to be, or somewhere else. But to that point, I'm looking forward to that and trying to build that anticipation again and have goals to look forward to, the packing, the planning, all that stuff. That's fun stuff, but I think it's also I love what you said, Leticia, too, about sitting outside. So my daughter actually just told us that she wants to take a trip to visit one of her roommates, because they're all remote college-wise. They haven't seen each other now for a year, and she wants to go to Rhode Island. And she goes, Dad, I want to go and see the woods. So if you saw where my backyard is, I'm in the woods. I'm in the woods. I'm like going, wait, what's this all about? Here, this is woods. She goes, no, different woods. I need to see different woods. I'm like, it's cheaper. Just walk on the deck, But it's funny, like we need to do that. We need to make the space on our deck for this summer too, to make it a little bit more. Yes. But nice stuff though.
Well, to your point really quickly about the seeing something a month ago, I was watching stuff that was years ago because from my backyard, Disneyland is my home park. And it, of course, is still closed, opening for California residents, which made me want to go. I know I have a driver's license somewhere that had me a California resident, maybe when I was 20 something. It'll still work, right? But I was digging back there to explore places and see places that you can't literally see right now. But I'll say I'm usually on the road 30 weeks out of the year. So being in one place is difficult, but I can't tell you how much I miss the inside of the plane. I'll happily stand in an hour-long TSA line at this point. I think I forgot how to pack. So that anticipation of looking forward to something, whether it be sitting on a plane or standing in a queue line, I will not ever take those for granted again.
I think that's a valid point.
And you said something about the planning too, Becky. Like everyone that's listening, my father-in-law was a big traveler. He was a salesman, and he had a major client in Orlando. So he's up in Pennsylvania. Company was based out of Boston, headquartered in Japan. So it was a lot of travel for him. And I always marveled over the fact that when you traveled with him, he knew all the tricks. And I was like, I just marked because I didn't travel enough to know that. So I'm the fumbling traveler. I'm the one who's like, I'm not pre-ordering things or knowing the way, how to move through things quickly. And I think that's one of the things that I hope people pick up on what you do. You're this is going to sound weird. You're my father-in-law, but it's, but the thing,
here we go, Pete.
Okay, here we go. I'll take it. At this point, I'll take it.
But but I think that's something that people don't, that I don't think they recognize or they realize. And I hope that as we move into this traveling phase of getting out there again, that they do go after a service like yours, because it does make a huge difference. And all it takes is one experience with it. And when you have somebody working with you, planning for you, you'll never go back. Yeah. Right. I mean,
people always ask me, so, why do I need a travel planner? I can just go online and do it myself. And this year is the perfect example of why you need somebody in your back pocket. First of all, I kind of characterize my job in a strange way, and I either get laughs about it or not. But in a way, a true professional vacation planner is kind of like a flight attendant, because when you're in the air, here, have your soft drink, here, have your meal, here, have your chips, and have a great day. You get booked, you go on your trip, you come back, everything is fine. But when something goes horribly wrong, that's when you want an advocate. That's when you want someone to help you out of that problem or help you out of that crashing plane. And that's when our value truly becomes obvious and shows you how much of a value it can be to have somebody there who knows the ropes, who knows the tricks, who knows the angles, who, in a great way to put it, is we also have the relationship. So if you step up into, you'll just keep using Disney World because I know you guys all understand that one. You go to check into your hotel and all of a sudden they're telling you, no, I'm sorry, that's not the room category you booked. You might have to stand there and argue with somebody or ask for a manager or try to escalate it and still be friendly and still try to keep in a calm vacation mode, which we know that's definitely not going to happen if you have to advocate for yourself. In our situation, because mistakes happen and hotels get it wrong sometimes, you walk up, they give you the wrong thing. You say, I'll be right back. You call me, we hash it out. You go put your bags in Bell Services and I'm taking care of it while you're already on their way to the park. So that's the type of thing. You want somebody there that you can lean on if something goes wrong.
Becky, okay, go ahead, Pete. I'm sorry, dude. Go ahead.
That's okay. when you said advocate, light bulb, because that's what I was thinking before we got to that point. I was thinking that like you guys, and we're like this for our kids. We're like this for our students. We're like this for our subjects. I'm a music teacher. I'm constantly defending my program. Small theater company. I mean, I'm constantly, let's say, we got summer recess coming. Teachers are closer than ever before to burning out. A teacher in my school collapsed today. Summer recess is coming, and with the news of situations improving to various degrees, maybe somebody's listening to this right now and say, hey, what do you think? Let's hop on line. Let's call this company. Let's talk about a getaway of some kind. Let's say there's somebody who's never worked with you guys before, a teacher, looking at some sort of window over the summer. If this is their first conversation with them, whether it's email or on the phone, how would you guide them through the process of where to go? Just if they've never traveled before, if they've never used a travel agent before, how would that conversation go?
Well, it all starts with building a relationship, because I need to understand who you are and what your needs are and what you're not. I hate using the word budget, because somebody's line of value is different for every individual. So I don't even try to go down that path. It really is having a conversation about you. It's not about what I want. It's not about what I like. It's not about what I recommend for me. It's about finding out what is going to be your perfect vacation. To put it in a lot of interesting ways, where for some people, going on the tallest, fastest roller coaster is the best thing ever. And for other people, it's like, no, not doing it. So you have to actually have that conversation with the people who are going to travel. What kind of experience are you looking for? Are you looking to just relax somewhere within a 2-hour drive from where your house is? Are you looking to get on a plane and get out of the cold area that you're in right now into one of the sunniest areas you're in right now? The conversation has actually even it's even expanded, because now we have to ask things like, are you vaccinated? Or the destination you're looking for, they're going to require, a COVID test to go in and a COVID test to come back out and a COVID test to do this. Is that going to be a concern for you? So there's a whole nother level of that. But when you first start working with somebody, it starts with a conversation. Are you a warm weather person? Are you interested in going on a cruise vacation? Are you just wanting to get to a place and sit, relax with your beverage, with the little umbrella, and not have anybody talk to you for a week? What is it about, or what type of experience is going to give you that relaxation you're looking for? And that the answer is going to be different from every single person you talk to.
That was a great question, Pete. And I love that you said relationship. We don't talk about budget, because again, as a single mom, back then, that was top of mind. So it's been wonderful to have someone to say, budget is not an issue. We'll work it out.
Yeah. Oh, a great example really quickly is that I do special events too. That's my happy place. I love doing really off the wall, crazy events in the parks and in destinations. And I'll go in and I'll sit with the people there and I'll say, okay, we have a blue sky event where they'll ask me questions, I'll ask them questions, and we're never talking about budget. And sometimes we get to these huge ideas that could be a $200,000 or $500,000 event, which we know we won't be able to do for a specific client, but it doesn't limit us by putting a dollar sign on it. However, it does help us determine what's going to make somebody happy. And once you've had that discussion about blue sky, then you can bring it down and start matching the money with the experience. But if you go into that conversation with nothing but a whole bunch of barriers, you're probably not going to get to the actual ultimate answer that you need to make it work.
This is absolutely brilliant. I mean, that is just a brilliant mindset to have. And, and the other thing that had never occurred to me when you talked about advocacy, when you talked about, you're taking time. I tend to be the self-care voice of the team here. And to me, what greater self-care practice than to give the task of planning my vacation to someone else, so that's not something that's on my mind and stressing me out and watching flights. And, So this is really also about a great way. Of course, the vacation in and of itself is self-care, but the whole planning process is also self-care when using someone like you. So that's a win-win for everyone.
And there are people out there who get just as much pleasure from the planning aspect as they do from actually going. And I know those people are like, I have my spreadsheet and I'm going to be here in A1 and I'm going to be here in BB3. And you know exactly where you're going to go every single moment of the day. And that's fine too. We can work with people who want to do as much of the planning themselves, but still be that advocate or still be that person who's watching for the better values or the better prices and then automatically apply it. So you save the money. And booking direct, a lot of people think, well, I'll just cut out the middleman. But why would you, if you're not paying for it, for number one, and the suppliers out for themselves? They're the ones that are going to be trying to get the higher dollar value from you. For example, if you book direct with Disney, they're not going to call you and say, hey, guess what? We just rolled out a brand new offer that's going to save you 35%. You're never going to get that phone call. It's going to be totally up to you to go find those additional savings.
Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so.
Exactly.
They would never do that.
Yeah. So as Leticia mentioned, the time saver thing is what I've been thinking about. The other thing is, Becky, educators, we tend to have the same breaks as everyone else. So by calling, I feel like a vacation planner like you, you're going to help us to navigate that, maybe even give us some little tips that other people wouldn't get about how to plan accordingly for that. Hey, it's going to be a little extra crowded at Disney. Here's some ideas that you might want to think about or things that you should bring or pack or.
Yeah, this is one thing that I just want to say right up front. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but the economy runs on supply and demand, and you guys really kind of get screwed in that whole equation because the suppliers know that when kids are out of school, mom and dad want to go on vacation. And so the demand is high. So the prices get high, which leaves you guys only small windows of opportunity to try to get the best value. And I think that's why I led off at the very beginning of book early, especially you guys, because you can get the best availability and prices may not have ticked up yet because that demand maybe hasn't hit. So every one of these companies have a revenue management department and they're watching as hotels fill up. They're like, this is going to be a little bit more demand here. So we're going to go ahead and move that up $20 a night. But you guys are predictable. They know when you're going to be out of school. They know when school breaks are. They know when the holidays are. So they're automatically already putting those at higher rates to begin with.
So this is what I want to say to our listeners, Becky. I'm sorry, Fred, but you're not breathing over here because I know it. What I want to say to our listeners is that give yourself permission to take a vacation.
Yes.
Not when the district says you can take it off.
Yes.
Make it a long weekend. Take 2 extra days off and go when nobody's at Disney. When they're not counting on us going. That's when we go. Use your time. You have it. You've earned it.
You know who really wins? The teachers in New Jersey. Jersey Week is like one of the best things ever because while Jersey Week, those guys are off doing their teacher thing, which means going to Disney World pretty much. Right. but the crowds are not huge, so they're not suffering the same as others do during the
Becky, I'm from Jersey and I'm familiar with that. Did that come out of the teacher convention that used to be down in Atlantic City? I think that's how it started.
I have
Erin?
no idea. I
think
I'm
that's
pretty
what it
sure
came
that's
out
how
of.
it happened. Yeah.
So there you go. You guys in all of your states, go out and get yourselves a Jersey Week.
So I'm getting excited about planning. Becky, please tell us, what should we start thinking? Can we plan now? Like for next year or even just for the summer? Like give us some tips and what trip should we be thinking about?
If you haven't already started thinking about it, you're almost too late. It's the most amazing thing that I've ever seen ever in this recovery. It was like somebody took a light bulb and went and smashed it against the wall before turning the darn thing on. Because one moment we're scrambling and canceling and rebooking people and trying to figure out when people can travel. All of a sudden the next day, we are now doing nothing but consulting and booking, and primarily for like September, October, November, December of 21. 2022 is where the problem is going to be. And when I say problem, it means availability. If you aren't already thinking about your vacation in 2022, you may have higher prices, really low availability, because by this time in the year, Disney hasn't released their 2022 yet, but they already did. So in other words, we're going to be 6 months ahead of everybody else. That it's amazing how quickly all of that is going. If you are a cruise person, and you're thinking about doing that, you need to start thinking about it now, because that pent-up demand that you keep hearing in the media is a real thing. At first I was thinking, yeah, sure. But no, we've been sitting around doing nothing and not being able to go the places that we want to go. And many of us happily, thankfully, not everybody, unfortunately, but many of us have kept our jobs through the pandemic. And there's a lot of income that hasn't been spent. So we're seeing people who didn't get to spend their vacation for 2020 now, like putting the money together for 2 straight years and going, I'm going to do something big. I'm going to do a bucket list trip, or I'm going to pay for that suite, or I'm going to go for 14 days instead of 7. People are really focused on booking a vacation right now. So yes, start thinking about it, and then stop thinking and do something about it, because don't wait.
Yeah, so I wanted to back up a little bit too. Those are great tips. And you know what, I wouldn't have thought it either. Like what you just said, it brings a lot of hope and joy at the same time, and frustration, because I'm like, I can't, I'm going to wait again. But I think it's like from an informational standpoint, do you also assist when traveling for conferences? So, I mean, is it really no different?
Well, it is different, because usually for conferences, the people who are putting on the conference have probably negotiated a special rate for you at the hotels, which a travel planner is not going to be able to touch, because it has to be booked through them to be able to meet their contracts.
Okay.
So you're better off for a convention type scenario to go through the convention to get the discounted rate that no one else is going to be able to get. If you don't have access to that, or it's sold out, then definitely turn to a travel planner to see what they can do.
Okay.
Usually in what I do is vacation travel. So we don't really focus too much on just, grabbing a convention space hotel. If you come to me and say, hey, I want to do a convention, we can definitely do,
like an add-on. Yeah.
Yeah. We can definitely do room blocks. We can do add-ons, pre or post, that type of thing.
Hey, I'll be calling you, Becky.
Yeah. No, the reason why I asked that is that because I know that that's my big thing in the fall is hopefully there'll be conferences and we'll be going to them. But I know that what the way a lot of us work it is, it's 3 days of the conference, but it's going to be like 3-4 days of an extended weekend in the space. And usually it's in Orlando. So, because I know that routine, I know that flight path, I know the cost, but I like, once again, I think people should give thought to that type of service that you just spoke about. Because I don't think I've ever even thought about that in terms of conference travel. Like you said, yeah, you do get those rates in those hotels, but still there's some other things involved in that it'd be nice to have some, especially if you're traveling to a place you don't know. Like if I was to go somewhere in the world even, and I wasn't sure how to get there, how to do it, you learn it. Of course, we all figure it out, but boy, it goes back to what Leticia was saying. I like easy. I mean, if it's going to be a trip, I want to be there in the right mindset. I want to not have to be stressed out, and international travel right now sounds very stressful. So
it's, you know what, I just had to start working on something for myself, because woohoo, I finally got to book something that I know I get to travel on, but then it became, all right, now I got to figure out how and where I'm going to go get a PCR test 72 hours before I get on the plane, which then I have to do a layover, which means I have only 5 days to get that negative test before I go into another country. I mean, all of a sudden my brain started getting scrambling, and I do this for a living. So,
wow. Yeah.
Becky, what have you done? Because I feel the stress of what this year must have been like for you. in a leadership position, somebody that's held it together with a business, what have you done for yourself? What advice do you have? Because there are a lot of entrepreneurs, we all are. What advice, I mean, what have you done to keep your sanity through this? Because I can't imagine navigating these waters.
My background is in all kind. I'm a jack of all trades and master of none. And it wasn't until I got into travel that I've stayed in one place for a while. But I started out in my career in emergency medicine. I was a firefighter, EMT, and I work really, really well under pressure. I thrive better in this type of situation. So for me, there were moments when I did want to curl up in a corner and go, screw this, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. But then I also have, excuse me, about 84 people across the country right now that depend on me.
Right.
And they were all freaking out. And I had to kind of step back and go, I need to bring them together in a world where we can't be together. So we started implementing all kinds of things where people needed to vent, they needed to cry, they needed to laugh, they needed to have all of these emotions and be told it's okay to have all these emotions. So we set up Zoom water cooler chats where we all have a Slack channel type thing that we all talk on. But when I can tell people and the pressure's starting to boil up a little bit, that became, hey, anyone want to meet me at the water cooler? And I would set up a Zoom thing. Anybody in the organization could come in or go out to just vent or talk or laugh or cry. And that was something that I'm so glad I did, because that was one of the coping mechanisms. And if I felt like I could help others get through it, that was helping me in return.
Wow. I think that's awesome. That's because, you know what, it's not happening enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I applaud you for taking the initiative on that, because it needs to be done, and it's not hard to do, but it's doing it. You know, that's the thing. That's good.
And we work in an environment where we're not with other people. We don't have, most of the people are working from their own home offices, like I am right now. And if you don't have your coworkers that you could just stand up, walk out of your office and go down the hall and go, oh, that client, or oh, that supplier, or oh, what a day I'm having. If you don't have those release valves, there's no passion. It'll take over everything that you love about your job if you let that stir.
Good advice for our education leaders out there.
Lean on each other. I think that's one of the biggest things in any of our professions is we're all going through the same thing. Don't be afraid to say that you're afraid. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know something. Don't be afraid, because the next person that's down the hall is feeling the exact same thing. And if you find a comrade that's feeling that exact same thing, you can help each other through it.
Definitely. Well, I'm sitting here, Becky, looking at a large rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy behind you. Yeah. So
it's about time somebody asked.
I won't even show my Grogu collection, which is all on that wall over here. So
Star Wars, Fred.
I know there's a Star, and then I saw that, but I'm not seeing anything Thor-like.
There is a Thor. Oh, you just can't see him. He's actually right over my shoulder over here. Yes, he's just out of camera. Yeah. All right. So yeah, Thor is a thing. I am a Marvel person. Rocket is my spirit animal. So I attached on a rocket a long time ago, because that does kind of wield a little bit about my personality that I don't often show people. But
I love it.
But the rocket that's behind me, if you've been to Disneyland, you might have been to the Guardians of the Galaxy, which was the old Tower of Terror, but now is a party and a ride, and it's incredibly cool. And I got off that ride, and you go down into the shop when you're done, and right behind the cashiers was this rocket. And he looked like a display thing. And I just kind of walked up and I went, is that for sale? And they went, oh yeah. Do you want one? I'm like, oh, you gotta have that. And so they said, all right, let's go, write it up. And then they came back and they went, oh, we're sorry, that one's on hold. It's already sold.
Oh,
so 6 months later,
oh my gosh,
I went back. There had been nothing. So I got cast members and friends down there always looking for it. And I went back about 6 months later and got off the ride and walked in it, and there he was again. And I just made a beeline. I said, "Is that one sold?" They said, no, it can be yours. And so I bought it, ship it, take it home. So he's my guy.
I was going to say, did you have to buy
He's
him?
my guy.
I thought you were going to say you had to buy him a ticket because he
love
needed
it.
his own seat.
No, thankfully, FedEx does kind of put him in a box, and so it's all good. And he wasn't that mad at me when we got out. So,
So I'm a little bit curious because you said he's your spirit animal.
Yeah.
When you were in school, were you a little bit like Rocket to your teachers?
did I have to admit what I was like to a bunch of teachers?
I wish
We
everybody
were
could
too,
just saw
though.
your face because that was
Yeah.
priceless.
Yeah, I was not, well, okay, put it this way. I was the kid who was held back. Or no, let me put it this way. I was supposed to go up 2 grades, and my mom decided to hold me back because she thought that I would miss out on being with people my own age,
Mhm.
which actually screwed me up worse
Oh.
because I got bored.
Yeah.
I was all A's constantly, and I was bored because I was done and I was bored. And so I wanted to move forward, and I was bored, and my mom wouldn't let me move forward. And so I didn't maybe embrace education the way I should have, maybe if I was guided by somebody a little bit better than I think my parents were trying to do the best for me at that point,
Sure.
but they probably should have let me move ahead.
Mm.
You would have been one of my favorite students because
Right.
those are usually the ones that I adore.
Those are the ones
And
we
I'm
click
sitting
with.
here imagining. So Rocket in Guardian of the Galaxy, I keep thinking about when he tells Peter Quill that he's got to have the guy's fake leg, just because he thinks it's hilarious.
Because I can get it. That's
Yes.
I know I can have it, and so I'm just gonna ask, and I'm gonna get it because
Right. He's
I'm-
smart, he's bored, and figures, let's just see what I can make happen. Okay, we got it.
that
Right.
exactly that. I mean, it's yep.
Perfect.
I don't like to sit still for very much, for the exception of like one weekend or one day on a weekend out of the month. I will wake up and I will not get dressed, and I will watch movies one after another. That's probably the most bored I can get. I'm not a person that can just lay on a beach and do nothing. So yeah, that's where my brain kind of goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fidgeter on the beach. I have to walk. And I mean, I have to dig sandcastles. I'm burying people. I'm walking. I'm doing anything I can just to keep busy. And like,
Oh,
You know, one of the
Lord.
places
Are we
though that I
taking
can do
notes of
that,
this?
I can mentally go out of space in a lazy river.
Mm.
You put me in a lazy river and I'm okay. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because you're moving and you're
Yeah,
seeing people,
there's
and the thing is
Scenery.
different. But I can't just sit stationary.
Leticia, are you making note when we go on our
She's
big
squirming.
road trip?
Making notes that we have to have a balanced trip because I just lay.
We'll bring toys for the beach.
We'll bring
For
Fred some
Fred.
toys. You can bury
Put
my
our feet
feet,
up.
but that's it. And let's have activities for him to do.
jeez.
All right. So I think we've definitely put out there, it's a great idea to use a vacation planner, especially as educators. We've got enough on our plate. We always complain we never have enough time for things or for ourselves. So let's put someone else in charge of planning our vacations. Before we go, Becky, a couple things. We usually do a takeaway, but I thought it might be fun for each of us, including Becky, if you could blink right now and be somewhere on a trip, where would that be? Where would that be? And Becky, since you're a guest, we're going to give you a minute and we'll let you kind of have the last word. And as always, Fred Aebli, because A's for Aebli.
And it's the
Where would
curse.
you be?
That's the curse. The A's go. Are you making me go first? Is that what this is?
Let's change it to Zebly.
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 Yeah, I think in all fairness, like I I'm a big Disney fan. I would blink my eyes and I would actually like to be on the World Gateway walking in towards Great Britain. And I have the horrific decision. Do I go left or do I go right? But I'll be honest with you. You said something else. You said it and it triggered my thought. And I know, Becky, I know you don't know this. I don't know if anybody else knows this. My bucket list trip is a Band of Brothers trip. It's going from London into Normandy, France, and then following the Band of Brothers all the way up to Birkenstadt into Germany. And the reason why that's my bucket list trip is because every time, I kind of troll the news, I keep on hearing these thoughts or comments about France wanting to reclaim part of that beach. And I don't know if it's going to always be there in some capacity. I mean, it may go away. I don't think the cemetery is going to go away, of course, but that would be the other thing I would like blink my eyes. And I would like to be maybe, getting ready to go through those little hamlets and the towns in Europe and smell the fresh bread. And I can't smell yet, so maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe we should put off on that one. But the point is, that's what I would do.
Okay. Leticia, how about you?
I mean, you know what, Fred, you really impressed me because you acted very shocked when she called on you, but you were very ready with an answer. Stay ready, buddy. You're the best.
Thanks.
If I could blink and appear, I would go to Hawaii. I recently was watching a travel channel and they talked about really the spirit of the people there, how they consider everyone family, love, peace. It's beautiful. And I think, after the year and a half that we've had, I would just love to be around some love and some peace, some great food, and just be out there in nature. I just need to be around peace and love. So Hawaii it is for me.
And I'm going to bring Becky in for a quick minute because Becky, isn't there a resort that you really love in Hawaii?
There are several that I really love, but Aulani, of course, is probably where you're going there. Hawaii is amazing. I've been over there about 10 times throughout the course of my life. I've stayed at probably 20 resorts. They're all beautiful, but of course, there's nothing like a lot of Hawaii and a little bit of Disney magic.
Yeah. And I'm trying, because Leticia will love this. I can't, what is the word that you bring up a lot of times? And can you explain like kind of your love for that word? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Kaput.
Yeah, Ohana is Ohana. Stay muted, buddy.
Do you know what it is, Becky, that I'm talking about? There's a word that means family, doesn't it?
Ohana? Is it Ohana? Yes. Ohana. I watch a whole lot of what's that guy? He's so hot. I'm sorry. I digress. Hawaii 5-0.
I was thinking Stitch. I was thinking Lilo and Stitch.
I was thinking what Thor doesn't
Hawaii 5-0.
Hawaii.
I thought we were back to Thor again. Oh my God. I knew it wasn't Somebody Feed Phil. I love the guy and love that show, but I just knew that wasn't the guy you're talking about.
Be encouraged.
Pete Bush, how about you, bud?
Classic Pete answer. I don't have one. If family, it would be Hawaii because we could get everybody from Japan and everybody here in the States and be together. Again, that's what's just eating me up inside, to see my wife with her family, my little boy with my family, our family, everybody up in New York and New Jersey. That would be it. If I'm going to be with you guys, I want to be down in Orlando. I miss being with you guys so much. Although the last time I tried to book something, I typed in this promo code Mangello.
It didn't work.
They said no. They actually added more. There's doubled fees and all, like a pet fee and everything, and extra food fee. It's terrible. I'm never going to use that code again.
The sushi tax. That's
the sushi tax.
It's
I'm quite familiar with that. But and then if it was a selfish Pete trip by himself, I would be on Broadway. I'd be up in New York seeing shows. That is just that's the part of me that's dying right now. So all of that's on hold. Looking forward to it all. Looking forward to doing all of them.
Good answer. That's a good point. If it was family, it'd probably be the beach, just because it would be nice, quiet, really good, quiet downtime. But I mean, for me personally, it's Disney World for me. It's just, that's where my grandparents, taught me that I could dream anything I wanted to dream. So I don't even need to be doing anything. I just would like to be on Main Street, USA, sitting on a bench with some popcorn, a cold bottle of water, and then those sour gummies you can buy at the Goofy Candy Store are the best. So if you haven't had those, the salt and the sweet and the sour, I'd be happy all day, just sitting there, just listening to the sounds, watching the people. I'd be really happy. So Becky, how about you? If you could blink right now.
All right, I'm going to do the Lou Mangello thing. I have 3. Good for you.
Good for you.
I think I have that right after
Yes.
having to deal with him for so long. Let's see. Well, first, and Pete, you're going to be kind of happy with me on this one. One of the first places I think of now after visiting Japan is Japan, Kyoto, and of course Tokyo Disneysea. I
Oh my
fell
gosh,
in love with that place.
it's the
when I was
best.
there. So, as a matter of fact, when Lou and I were leaving last time, we both looked at each other and said, "We have to bring our families back here."
Yep.
I mean, before we even left, we had to go back.
Yep.
So my brain goes there. The second place my brain goes is I love water. Water calms me. Water makes me happy. There is a ship that I adore called the Celebrity Edge, and it has a 2-story villa with a hot tub on the outside of the deck. It's a beautiful suite.
Wow.
I could put myself in that hot tub on that ship in a heartbeat in my brain. But I think more than anything, what I miss the most, and when we did the show not too long ago talking about, as how the pandemic has impacted us, I got very emotional about it, and I didn't even realize I had until I listened to it afterwards. But if I could blink right now, I would be in Epcot at Italy in a dessert party that I'm running with 175 of my closest friends from the communities that I work with, and enjoying harmonious and just being with people that I haven't been able to see in person, meeting new friends that maybe I know online, but I've never met in person. And having probably one of the longest, most uncomfortable hugs with every single person that I possibly can, because I'm not going to let go of them when I can hug them again. That is probably the place that I would really want to be right now, more than anywhere.
I love that answer so much, because I think that's the thing about traveling, whether it's people that you're just meeting for the first time, or you're traveling with family and friends, or you're going to visit family and friends. It's about that human connection and making new memories. So I'm super excited about hearing even our listeners' plans that they're going to make and vacation ideas that they have. Because Fred mentioned it, it's time to start getting hopeful and start kind of thinking about our future and, making some time for us. So Beci, where can our listeners find you?
All kinds of places. For the company itself, please visit MEI-travel.com. That will give you a jump point to booking cruises in Hawaii and all of that. But you also, it'll jump you over to mousefantravel.com if you want Disney, or you have a spot to jump over to universalfantravel.com if you want to go to Universal Studios. We are all over social media as well. But me personally, you can also find links on my social media too. Everything is at Beci Mahnken, and it's spelled weird. So teachers, don't get mad at me. This is my mother's fault for spelling my name weird. It's BECI Mahnken. So at Beci Mahnken on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And please, 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 if you have any questions whatsoever, friend me on Facebook and message me. I do a huge amount of my day is spent just talking to people on Messenger. And if a vacation planner is someone you want to talk to, I can pair you up with one of my team members. I'm always there to answer questions as they come along for anybody. So feel free to reach out.
She definitely means it, because I've seen it in action. I don't know how you do it, but I see you respond to every single person that asks you a question, at least the ones that are in the external messages. So please reach out to our friend Beci. And Pete, where can our listeners find us?
Hey, we're on Facebook, YouTube, website, teacherpeprally.com. We want to hear from you. Subscribe, leave a review, try to ignore Fred. And that's that.
Yeah.
We love to hear from you.
Leave us a review. We're getting a lot of listeners, and we're loving hearing what you guys have to say. But leave a little review so we can have some other educators join our pep rally. Again, thank you so much, Beci. I appreciate it. Until our next travel, we'll see you.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.